Starting a podcast can be extremely beneficial for your business and your brand. Recently, over the past year, a lot of YouTubers have expanded and started their own podcasts. A lot of company podcasts have become not only more popular, because having the podcast can bring a lot of advantages to your business and your brand and to the message you want to spread as well. So today, I'll be going through the 5 top reasons why I think you should start a podcast in 2023. Firstly, one of the main reasons you should start a podcast is if you have a current business or brand. You see, starting a podcast can be really helpful in engaging your current community members as well as bringing in new ones. For example, take a YouTuber for example, they have 1 million subscribers, these are on 10 minutes, and when you branch out and go to start making a podcast, what happens is you're now switching from medium form content to long form content, so you are reaching a brand new audience who might be interested in your content or in your message, as well as you're engaging the current audience that you have, because odds are there are going to be some topics or subjects you can't quite dive into in short form content. But with the nature of podcasts, because they're 45 minutes, upwards of 2 hours, depending on how long the episode is, you can go into a lot of the detailed subjects. You can have a guest, you can bounce ideas off each other as well, have someone place that will advocate to challenge your ideas, and that can help build a stronger connection with your current audience, because they're seeing you and listening to you for an extended period of time every single week, which in turn will make them more attached to you and your brand as well. And this takes me on to my second point, which is starting a podcast can help to build a deeper connection with the current audience that you have. Because let's say you're a business owner and you sell vegan products, vegan shampoos, vegan body wash, etc., and you start a podcast, there are going to be people who are interested in your products but might not know that much about you or that much about what your message for the brand is, simply support veganism. So when you make a podcast, those people check you out and listen to you for an hour period in comparison to 10-minute YouTube video or a social media post announcement. What happens is they get a lot more invested in you, a lot more invested in the brand, and it really helps to build a deeper connection between the audience and people they're listening to, which is you, the podcast host. Thirdly, starting a podcast can really help to establish yourself as a credible personnel within your niche or industry. For example, let's say you start a business podcast and it's about how to start your own business, how to expand your business, etc. And you spend an hour a day for a year talking about that. Eventually, the more and more audience you generate, people are going to begin to recognize you. Okay, he's that guy that I go to when I have a question about business, or he's the guy I go to when I want to know more about business. Like I said, because it's a long form piece of content, between an hour and 2 hours, compared to 10 minutes, you get a much larger window to express your knowledge and let people know about the things you went through or learned over the years, which again, not only makes you more credible, but also builds that trust between you and your community, which just does help in a lot of areas in both audience connection as well as brand trust and credibility. Fourthly, starting a podcast can actually allow you to have an extra source of income. You see, with podcasts, once they grow to a certain point, people will pay to sponsor it, have advertisements on there. You can post a podcast on YouTube, cut up the clips, you have more videos on there as well, and generate YouTube AdSense from that, as well as people can pay to be guests on your podcast depending on how big it is. Plus, let's say you're starting a podcast for your business, but you have a social media presence elsewhere, whether it be a YouTube channel with 100,000 active subscribers, an Instagram page with 200,000 active followers, etc. You start your podcast, some of those people that already exist as your audience will now immediately go to your podcast. You always hear of YouTubers who just start a Twitter page and just get 1 million followers instantly just because they already have an active audience. So if you do have an active audience somewhere, starting a podcast, in my opinion, is an absolutely no-brainer. And the last reason to start a podcast, not last, there are a lot of reasons, but the 5th reason I'm going to talk about today is it's fun. It can be really enjoyable to just sit down at a table with a mic and get your thoughts out. It's almost like self-therapy in a way. If you can bring guests on, and the guest can be a friend of yours even, and just bounce ideas off each other, you can have a long, deep conversation. You can meet new people as well. Let's say you're a business podcast, you can expand. Okay, let me interview a sports person who has his own business and ask him about business in that specific niche or in that specific sector. And what happens is you make a lot of new connections, make a lot of new friends, and the process of making the podcast can be very enjoyable as well. Of course, there's sides of it that are not as fun. Usually what I found is the filming part is the best part. Everyone loves it. Everyone loves sitting down, getting their thoughts out, answering ideas with a guest. Then have to edit it, and make a thumbnail for the YouTube version, and then SEO it, and then manage social media pages for it. It can be a hassle. And if there's something you struggle with, I actually do run a agency called Kaiser Media, which is a full-on podcast management agency where we focus on making the podcast creation process as fun as possible for you, while we take care of all the boring stuff. Our details will be a link into the description down below. And yeah, that's everything from me. If you have any more questions or anything you want to discuss in further details, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. I'll be more than happy to respond. I'm usually active in the next few days after the video goes live. If you guys did find the video helpful, leave a like and subscribe. That's because your thing massively helps us out. But hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and take care. Bye.